This movie story is about an overweight professor named Sherman Klump. He was not only meaty, but also stupid. Because of this, all his students made fun of him. Due to his foolishness, he will also get into a huge amount of trouble one day. When one day he visits a college and discovers that more than 5,000 hamsters spread here and there. These hamsters resemble rats. They have now spread to such an extent that they spread in people's pants, on sandwiches and everywhere. After investigation, it turned out that how did these hamsters get free? It is known here that Sherman in one day did not know, and he pushed the button with his chubby belly, and all the hamsters got free because of the push of that button. Now they are wandering around the entire dorm. This problem was played out in the dormitory, and then Sherman went to his favorite hamster. This hamster is also overweight like him, and Sherman and his team are working on an experiment in which they reconstruct the DNA again, and morbidly obese people will be able to reduce their weight easily. Now the same experiment was performed on his favorite hamster. The result of the experiment seems to be positive, and the weight of the hamster will decrease immediately. Now they know how useful this formula is, how it works in speed. Now the man who works with Sherman says, Sherman, we can give these hamsters a high dose of this formula. But Sherman declares, no, an overdose can harm him in this way. Afterwards, Dean calls Sherman in his office, and she discusses with him the whole incident for which she is responsible. As a result, the hamsters spread throughout the dorm. Now the dean says to Sherman, it happened because of you. There is a great loss of resources of the resort. He advises Sherman, be careful with the experiment you do in the laboratory. Now I'm warning you, next time I won't put up with such stupidity, because there is a great donor to his college who donates a lot of money to him. And they don't want to, because they can lose their big donor at any cost. In another scene, Sherman is shown saying something on a blackboard, and because of his fleshy belly, his written statements were also deleted, and all the students laugh at him when they watch him. Then another teacher who is a chemistry graduate enters the same room. He says to Sherman who comes there, he loves Sherman's work, and she always wanted to meet Sherman. In the next scene, Sherman takes dinner with his whole family, and all his family members are so meaty, but his father has no problem with that. He says he's proud to be morbidly obese, and they have no problem with it at all. Sherman's father tells him that you can do everything in your life except one thing. Never wonder how to lose weight, and you won't lose weight. There are also some habits of his father that everyone makes fun of. His family members laugh at him, but Sherman doesn't like it at all. When Sherman comes out, her mother tells him, you are very charming. You are the best just the way you are. Never feel disappointed because of yourself. Sherman becomes so confident with his mother's compliments, and he asks the chemistry graduate to go out to eat with him. And that teacher also accepts his offer to go out for a meal luckily, and they both decide to meet on Friday. Later, Sherman returns home ecstatic. Then he watches TV, where the hostess says, we can do it. Sherman also utters with her, yes, I'll do it, and I will lose weight. With 3 days left to meet that teacher, Sherman also joins the gym club. He also attends some courses there. Thanks to this, its weight can be reduced, but he will have to make a big effort to lose weight. Finally, the day comes and Sherman goes to the club with that chemistry teacher. There was a humorist who made fun of everyone there. When he spots Sherman, he becomes the target of his Sherman laugh. Now he was cracking jokes with Sherman one by one, and he made people laugh. Hearing all these words, Sherman gets worried. The chemistry teacher tells him when he returns with her, do not worry. Sherman pleased her, but he was still disturbed by his heart. He lost hope of ever losing weight. When he gets home, he eats a lot of junk food. Otherwise, he also tried hard to lose weight. He falls asleep while eating. He dreams that Sherman suffered a big heart attack because of his excess weight. Additionally, Sherman's weight increases in the hospital, so he starts to bloat, and it's bigger than the hospital building, and he destroys the whole city and then he wakes up. Now Sherman thinks there is no positive effect, even if he worked out in the gym and kept a healthy diet, and so he decides to apply the experimental serum to him. Now Sherman moves to the laboratory at night and prepares the formula, and he injects the formula into his body. At the beginning, it seems that this experiment will be a failure, because Sherman's heart is beating fast. There is mail received on the computer when Sherman comes out. This DNA reconstruction remains successful. It means that the DNA has been changed. Sherman is stunned when he goes in front of the mirror and wakes up in the morning, because he became so thin. He didn't believe in him either. How is it possible? He shed tears of happiness. Now Sherman is moving out for luck, and he continues to scream everywhere. He says, look at me, how I have become smarter. He first visits the mall and keeps praising it, wearing different suits. He says, look, I look like a model star. The next day, the same chemistry teacher comes to see him, but she is unable to recognize Sherman. Obviously, Sherman cut him short. Now Sherman didn't want to tell her either. Who is this? He also didn't want to be seen with his old identity. He tells her here his fake identity as he is a lab assistant. He also flirts with her and offers to accompany her to the club. But the chemistry teacher doesn't agree, but she agrees because he insisted again and again. He talked to her that his hand was getting swollen. He understands that he will turn into the fat man again. He quickly evicts the chemistry teacher, so she doesn't have to recognize him. After a while, when this chemistry teacher meets Sherman, now Sherman has turned chubby. So the chemistry teacher tells him about Buddy. Sherman tells her, "You must meet him. He is a very gentleman." In the next scene, Buddy is seen who Sherman really is, but now he's slimmed down. She'll call him Buddy in her lean state. Next, Buddy gets to the club and drives in a sports car. Now he drove comfortably in the sports car, where he never found himself edited there. Now the chemistry teacher and Buddy arrive here and the teacher enters the club. There was also the same comedian as before making fun of everyone. Hello everyone in that club, when he tries to humiliate Buddy again. At that time Buddy was so confident because he wasn't chubby like last time. She repays him in a way that humiliates the comedian. Now this comedian and Buddy argument in a big way here that a war will start between them and they call it a fake war. Buddy will win at the end of this war. Now this comedian is trying to attack Buddy because everyone was applauding and appreciating Buddy. And the chemistry teacher is also inspired by Buddy here. He thinks how confident he is. They communicate and enjoy themselves here. Then the chemistry teacher notices that Buddy's bottom lip is slowly puffing up, and Buddy's hands swell too. Buddy leaves the place while apologizing to her. "I am caught with any type of infection." At the same time, Sherman's lab assistant also reaches there, and he observes Sherman's ID in the waiter's hand, and he thinks this ID card was taken by Buddy the waiter. Now he thinks Buddy stole Professor Sherman's card. Now this assistant gets into the car with Buddy, who drove away, and he is shocked to see how chubby Buddy was back in the car, and suddenly he is Professor Sherman. Now the assistant caught Sherman. What does he actually do? He knew that Buddy and Sherman were the same guy. A lab assistant is then seen carrying Sherman out of the car after a section of the car is cut open, because he didn't get space to get out of the car door. The next day, Sherman is late when he goes to lecture the class, but there were no students in the classroom. Only Dean was there. He was in full rage. He tells Sherman about his sports car, who was purchased from the payment to the account of Sherman Buddy. Now here, Dean forgives him because he spent a lot of money during this time. Dean will fire him if he spends more money again. He threatens to kill him if he does it again. Says Sherman, "We have set up a meeting with our major college donor." He says, "Sherman, you'll have to convince him when you talk to him, so he can finance your slimming serum for you." Then Sherman goes to the chemistry teacher and asks her that. "There was your food with Buddy. What was it?" Then the chemistry teacher tells him. She doesn't get it a bit. She either loves Buddy or she doesn't. His behavior sometimes seems normal and sometimes mysterious. Then Sherman invites her and says, "Why don't you have dinner with my family tonight?" He invites her to dinner. Now the chemistry teacher accepts this invitation to have dinner with the Sherman family. She feels very uncomfortable going there for dinner, because members of Sherman's family ask her strange questions. When Sherman drops the chemistry teacher after this bad dinner experience, he then apologizes to her for the misbehavior of his family members. The chemistry teacher expects this because he calls her Buddy again. Now here Sherman got it. If she wants to maintain a good relationship with her chemistry teacher, then he will have to be in a relationship with her with the identity of Buddy. He takes the serum again and turns into a slim Buddy. The lab assistant was not happy with this. Says Sherman, "When you take this serum, your hormones level will increase. If you keep using this serum, Buddy, it will control your body. Your personality will change accordingly. You act weird whenever you take the serum and turn into Buddy. You're not as mature as you used to be." The lab assistant also tries his best to stop Buddy. After avoiding him, however, he escapes. Buddy accompanies the chemistry teacher to the hotel on the same night. It's the same hotel where their university donor is waiting for the presentation, where Sherman must have represented something about his created serum. Now Sherman wasn't there. Chemistry teacher says, "Buddy, imagine his formula instead of Sherman." Now Buddy presents Sherman's experimental formula in front of everyone. He represents everyone so skillfully that everyone thinks he should be fully appreciated. The chemistry teacher doesn't like that at all, because she knew that all the effort was done by Sherman, and Buddy gets the credit. And he also flirted with many girls there, because his body harmonic level has increased more. When the chemistry teacher sees Buddy, he becomes aggressive. After leaving him there, she moves out. Now it didn't affect Buddy because his personality had completely changed. Now, Dean took a lot of inspiration from Buddy here. He now tells him that he will grant him the seat of Sherman in the dormitory. To do this, he had to present this idea in front of his head one more time. Buddy got lost in his life and spent a lot of time with many girls. Buddy is then seen to transform back into Sherman. Sherman did not understand anything about what was happening to him, that he suffers from dual personality disorder. Even the chemistry teacher approaches there when he was with many girls. When he arrives, he thinks Sherman is like Buddy. Sherman couldn't defend him from her because he couldn't understand it either. What's going on? He then goes to the office where the dean tells him that he finished him because the dean gave Buddy instead of Sherman, and he had no knowledge of it because Sherman is Buddy. Sherman will accidentally display the screen there where he checks the message Buddy left for Sherman. Buddy told him, "Your life is so boring. Take this serum and change forever." Buddy provokes Sherman but to no avail. Sherman wastes all the serum and moves to the lab. He will never take it again. Then Sherman takes a sip of his drink, but he didn't know that Buddy mixed the serum into this drink. Now Sherman is again changed to Buddy. He starts acting strange and walks into the bar again. The lab assistant records a warning message on the computer, where he sees that Buddy's hormone levels have increased more. Sherman will disappear from the scene if he takes this serum again, and the personality of Buddy will remain in him forever. Buddy is seen entering the bar. Everyone glanced at him. Buddy was not under his control now. He is starting to represent himself there. Everyone was left in awe when they saw the energy of the serum. When Buddy takes another dose of the serum, then the lab assistant stops him and goes there. Now, when the lab assistant stopped Buddy to take another dose, his hands swelled up again, and his body is bloated from it too, and it turns into Sherman again. Everyone present, including the chemistry teacher and Sherman's patents, are shocked. Sherman says it all. "I performed this experiment on myself for this cause, so hopefully I can help all the fat girls, and they also have health problems. But now I know, this experiment is not as good as we thought. In the end, we came to the conclusion that everyone should accept themselves as they are, and I should accept myself too. I should work hard rather than be addicted to serum. I will have to make my body healthy by working out in the gym and eating healthy." Now here Sherman has been so troubled, and in this state he leaves the hall. Meanwhile, the chemistry teacher stops him and says, "I don't care about your physical appearance. I like your soul." Finally, Sherman and the chemistry teacher are seen dancing. Also seen is the donor who had to donate funds to Sherman's college. He tells the dean that he will definitely donate the money to Sherman, because Sherman's speech grew to his heart. Despite this, Sherman's experiment failed. But this experiment showed that Sherman is an excellent scientist. And on this scene the film ends.